If you are seeing this, I am sorry. I didn't think anyone was ever going to ask for this video. Today we are going to be making my sourdough bagels, specifically the everything bagels, but you can top it with whatever you want. You're going to need a few ingredients first. You are going to need 300 grams of active sourdough starter. I feed mine 1 to 1 to 1, so I fed 150 grams of sourdough starter, 150 grams of flour, and 150 grams of filtered water. It has to be filtered water. You're gonna need flour, you're gonna need sugar, you're gonna need salt, and for tools, you're gonna need a measuring scale and a large mixing bowl. This is my stand mixer one because I don't need the dough. So in this bowl, I'm going to tare it. I'm going to make sure that it is in grams. I'm going to add 300 grams of active sourdough starter. That is 300 grams. I'm going to add 900 grams of flour. This is just all-purpose bleached flour. So this is now 900 grams. I'm going to tare it again. And I'm gonna add 440 grams of water. It's gotta be filtered water. Holy, what is happening? There we go. Has to be filtered water for the sourdough to not have any contaminants in it. So that's 440 grams. Okay, for this next part, you're gonna need another bowl that's a little bit smaller. This just makes it more accurate when you measure out smaller ingredients. I'm gonna add 24 grams of salt. There we go, 24 grams of sugar. And at this point, if you want to make it a different flavor, this is when you would add those ingredients. And then I'm just gonna pour that in. So now if you are not using a stand mixer, I would stir this together and then pour it out on the counter, knead it for about 10 minutes until it's very firm. I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna throw it in my stand mixer, just as is. So it is now in my stand mixer. I made sure I locked it. When you do this, you really have to be careful with how you pulse it, because it's gonna throw flour everywhere. Okay, as you get to this point, when you can start to see it forming, I would take it off and just help it out a little bit. Take it off the hook. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Take it off the hook, stir some of the flour that's underneath it all. And when you're done mixing it, it should come completely off of the sides of the bowl. It should look like this when you're done. It's completely off the bottom. It's now fully on the sides. Okay, you're gonna get a large mixing bowl. Spray it down. Make sure you spray the lid as well. And you're gonna pop your sourdough that should be in a full piece in there. You're gonna let it sit and rise on the counter for about 12 hours, and then after that 12-hour period, if you need, punch it down and then throw it in the fridge for another 12 hours. When you wake up in the morning, make the bagels. Okay, it is the next day. The bagel dough ended up sitting on the counter from around 6 p.m. to around 12. Then I put it in the fridge until around 11. I then left it on the counter to warm up, get closer to room temperature. It's easier to work with when it's at room temperature. I greased up 2 large baking pans, and I'm going to now cut this dough into 12 even sections. If I did my math right, that's around 140 grams, but I really just eyeball it. I don't really care about them being correct sizes. You're gonna roll it into a ball, poke a hole through it, and do that. That helps you get a really consistent hole. Okay, that water is just about to boil, so I'm gonna preheat my oven to 415 degrees. They're gonna bake for about 15 minutes. What we're doing right now is we are blanching, I believe, them. You're gonna put each bagel in for 30 seconds on the front, 30 seconds on the bottom. I either put them in at the same time because I'm very lazy, or I do 30 seconds for one and then put a new one in as I'm doing that backside 30 seconds. Okay, my bagels are done boiling. When I'm done boiling them, I'm topping all of them. The oven is almost preheated to 415. If you do it correctly, it'll be done at the same time. So once again, I did 30 seconds on the top of it, 30 seconds at the bottom of it, took it out, and then topped it with my seasoning so that it sticks. And if you got your water to the right temperature with a rolling boil, you should have a little bit of a springy surface to your bagel, and then you can kind of see in this one, the inside of it is still completely uncooked. So my oven is preheated. This is a black bottom pan, so I'm gonna put this on top because it tends to cook the bottoms of the bagels a lot more. So I don't want the element on the bottom to cook it too much. So this is going on top. This is not a black bottom pan, so this is gonna go on the bottom. I'm gonna put it in at 415 degrees for about 15 minutes until they are browned on the top. Okay, the bagels just came out of the oven at 14 minutes. When they're done, they should have some crispy bits on the top of it, and the bottom should be nice and browned but not burnt. So yeah, that is how to make the bagels. At this point, I usually cut them. However, because I'm giving these away, I am going to leave them uncut. That's what they look like.